Illustrator really changed things way back. It started making the computer a real graphics tool.
I think I just saw the future, and it just was really exciting to me. I just wanted to learn it.
You've never seen anything do something like this before. You can make changes and things would happen instantaneously. It's like magic.
So I'm the classically trained graphic designer. I did rub down text. That's sort of like bear skins and stone knives. I used French curves and rulers.
The process of getting camera-ready art was pretty involved back in the day. You had multiple elements.
This is a really old piece that was done before computers.
It was really time intensive. You would sketch out a comp with all the measurements, and then you'd lay out your page. Copy had to be spec'd. What kind of typeface are you going to use? What point size?
The text was spit out from a typesetter, which was cut up and pasted onto the boards.
One page of set type, it might take a day or 2 days to actually do.
The rapidograph.
You know what rapidographs are, that pen that always clogs up and spits.
It stains clothes, it stains your hands.
The rapidograph decides to explode. Anything could go wrong.
When your hand is just doing the final little touch and all of a sudden you jerk and it's ruined and you'd have to start all over again.
I'm just so pleased that I never have to struggle through that again. John Warnock always had a vision in his mind of Adobe Illustrator existing. I just don't think the technology was there. The computer wasn't there.
I had joined Xerox in 1978, and their goal was to make the office of the future. We had text editors, email, networks, we had laser printers. What they didn't have is graphic engines that could make sort of arbitrary graphics. They were computer scientists, and they were imagining what computer scientists wanted to do. They weren't imagining what the world was trying to do from a creative point of view, and they were simply not making tools to address that community.
One time I was at a conference listening to John speak, though, and he said the reason he invented Illustrator was because his wife couldn't ink. I know he meant it very kindly, but...
I think Marva and her graphic design background influenced John to venture into the world of graphic arts and to solve problems for graphic designers.
The very first thing we collaborated on was Radial Corners.
Letraset had corners that were pre-done, and if you needed a specific radius that they didn't have, you were out of luck. She would say, I need a rectangle that's this size with this radial corner, and I would fill in a couple of parameters and print it. And trying to figure out how to do that on the computer was really critical to the design of PostScript.
John Warnock and Chuck Geschke invented PostScript because there was something missing in the industry. There was bitmap typefaces and bitmap images. There was lots of languages driving printers, so they wanted to come up with the universal language which would drive a printer of any make, any model, now and into the future. And that was an amazing vision.
If it wasn't for PostScript, there would be no desktop publishing. It sort of opened the doors that you were able to produce layouts and magazines.
PostScript was a page description language, and you use this language to describe how to draw the page. The description of the objects are all vectors and curves. The major breakthrough with PostScript is that you could have any size type. You could stretch it and squash it and do anything you wanted to it. It could deal with images, it could deal with graphics, but you had to be a programmer to actually do it. There weren't any applications to drive it. We started development in 1985 of Illustrator.
Mike Schuster was the very first programmer on the product. He's clicking and dragging and creating a Bézier curve. I was pretty amazed by that.
It was a direct translation of how people drove PostScript, but you didn't have to program. It would just emit the PostScript code that would make the drawing for you. It gave you very, very precise control, which I knew from Marva's work you needed. You had to have it. When Illustrator went into beta, I wanted to do a drawing that would express something that you absolutely couldn't program. I drew on a piece of tracing paper a picture of a rose, but then I executed it in Illustrator. When people saw that this was the kind of thing that you could do with Illustrator, they just went bonkers. They thought that was fantastic.
It was just revolutionary.